Hello and welcome back to Fathers Who Care weekly television show where we come to you and we present a lot of things and issues that we talk about in the community. My name is David Elam and I'm the President Emeritus of the West Garfield Park Youth Council, and I will be the guest host this evening, filling in for Mr. Reverend Walter Jones. He's currently out on a business trip in Washington, D.C., advocating and doing all the wonderful things that he does for the city of Chicago. And he asked me to fill in for him this evening. So, Reverend Jones, if you're out there watching, I got your back. So have a safe trip. Expect you back soon. So, tonight's show is going to be based off of youth development and youth empowerment. We're going to be discussing how important it is to empower young people. Why is it important to empower young people? Why do we empower young people? And things like that. So, next, I'm not going to take up any more time from the guest. I'm going to let my guest this evening introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Lawlor. I'm no stranger to this show. I've been on the show before, and I'm glad to be back once again. So let's get this thing started because the folks are waiting. They're ready to hear this information, and we want to give it to them.
Yes, well, Tony, I want to thank you once again for coming out and being a guest on our weekly television show here at KNTV. We're always glad to have you with us. And I want you all to sit back, relax, and hope you enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, my name is David Elam, and I'm the President Emeritus of the West Garfield Park Youth Council, which is sponsored by Fathers Who Care. Fathers Who Care is a not-for-profit organization on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. And its goal and responsibility is to advocate and enlighten the young people and advocate in the lives of fatherhood involvement and community empowerment. You're now watching a live interactive television broadcast brought to you by KNTV Channel 21. Our show will review every Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. Again, that's every Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. Our show can also be viewed online at www.kntv.org/live. Again, that's www.kntv.org/live. Well, Tony, I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
If you'd like to chime into those. Okay.
Let's give the people what they need and what they want.
So the first question is based around the topic of, we're going to be discussing tonight the topic of youth empowerment and youth development. So with the topic on youth empowerment, youth development, why do you feel it is important for, first of all, for young people to be involved in their community?
Well, before I can even go into that, let me give you a little bit of background, the reason why I'm here and who I am. So my name is Tony Lawlor again, and what I do is I have a consulting company called Lawlor Consulting Group. And what I do is I focus on working with our community, with youth programs, youth organizations, and so forth, small businesses in the community, collaborating and bringing those resources together for our young people to help our youth grow and to achieve their success. I also work with an organization called Chicago Area Project, who happens to be celebrating their 85th year anniversary this month in February.
Okay.
And so together with my experience of working with youth also in foster care, I grew up in foster care, so I've worked with the statewide youth advisory board, working on issues and concerns around the state. So I do a lot of work, an advocate for parent rights and so forth, that parents who are wrongly accused of their child abuse and neglect. So I do a lot of stuff. Now, to answer your question, why you think that it's important to have empower the youth is because right now we're seeing, and we have been, if you even look back years, past, but we're seeing a surge in youth violence and youth death. And actually, the last time I was on a show, we talked about the percentage of youth death. It's actually from one-on-one, like just peer-to-peer crime. A lot of it is peer-to-peer crime. What we're noticing is one is you have this epidemic of these new drugs that are out. But aside from that, we see that the highest spikes in crime are in communities where resources are low, where there's not a lot of interaction among community. There's not a lot of people sort of engaging and interacting with each other. So again, there's not a lot of youth programs and not a lot of activities because people don't feel safe, because a lot of violence and crime, but it's sort of really affecting young people being able to come outside and do stuff. So a lot of people are inside playing games and being on social media, and they're not really interacting and playing as much outside. The empowerment part, though, is again, if we focus on young people and allow ourselves, like as adults, we think we know everything, but we need to really focus on hearing the voices of the youth and saying, sitting down with them and saying, well, what programs do you like? What are the issues and concerns that you have that we can actually help to address those things?
Right.
And I think as adults, we tend to do things where it's like, I know what they need. They need this. They need that. They need this program. And you can see that. You can see that with funding is like, oh, let's do this particular program and that program. And then you don't see a lot of young people participating. My belief is that because we don't ask the youth what they want and allow them to shape those particular programs.
And with it being ongoing and not being so much as short term, like a short period, let it be ongoing so it keeps the spark. Because young people minds are everywhere, so their attention is not set in one setting. It's over here and over there. If you don't bring something to the table, like you said, that grabs the young people attention and keeps them active, motivated, and enriched, they're going to find something else to do. And 9 times out of 10, that's not going to be.
Yeah, and actually one thing that you pointed out sparked something in me. So that's something that's interesting is because, too, whenever people think of programming for youth or ideas for young people, what everybody does is think there's this cookie cutter approach. And actually, if you think about it from a point of culture, there's this cultural diversity. It's hard to define what culture is because you can have young black men and women and on the west side of Chicago is different than young black men and women on the south side of Chicago. The cultural norms, beliefs, and values are different depending on if you were raised by Big Mama or grandmother or you was raised by your family, whether it's 2-parent households or single-parent households, etc. So the cultural values and things are different. We can't just go on the west side and say, let's do this program for all of the black and brown kids on the west side, and let's go do this for all of the black and brown kids on the south side. It doesn't work like that. Like it has to be sort of this fluidity where the programs have to be a little bit different, based on the environment that people are in. So.
Okay, and I see we have our first few calls of the evening. We're going to entertain a few calls, and we're going to come right back to the topic. Hello, caller. Thank you so much for calling. You're on with Mr. Tony Lawlor. Your comment or question, please.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Lawlor.
Yes.
Mr. Lawlor, can you tell me what do you have an idea of how to reach the youth of this generation? Because this generation's youth is so difficult and they're so hard to reach, because they have their own mindsets and because, again, they're not being raised the way we was raised back then. So they're being raised different by a lot of mothers that's almost close to their own ages. So how do you reach those youth? Because that's the problem. It's hard to reach the youth now to even get them in programs to do something positive with them.
That's a good question. And so I would say the same way that you eat an elephant, one spoonful at a time. And so what I would say is that we need to stop. So we have to start with one youth at a time and then go from there. So what will happen is there's young people that are out here, like you said, that are being raised from different family dynamics. This is what I was talking about with culture, right?
Yep.
So instead of us, going after trying to blanket or cast a net and grab a bunch of youth and say, hey, this is what you need to do. We need you to go to school and get an education and et cetera, right? But what happened is we have to start off meeting their basic needs. There's a lot of young people who have this sense of hopelessness. They don't care, right? Because of the people that are raising them, because they don't care, or maybe they don't have the resources, so it looks like they don't care. But everybody, it cares. And so to get to the answer to the root of the question is, what we need to do is to have young people who are interested in listening, who are interested in hearing or allowing us to hear what they have to say. And what we need to do then is work with the peers to infect positive to bring that positive environment unto their peers. So start off with empowering the youth, making sure that we're educating those who want to listen, giving them programs and supporting the things that they want. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see young people who are running organizations like what you're doing, in the work that you all do. So if you're running and leading the organizations and putting you like youth organizations, if you have the peer youth that are on the board and helping to make the decisions, then what's that going to do is draw in other youth. Oh, I want to do that, because that's what it's happening. We're following each other, right? So whatever is the newest thing and the biggest thing that's going on. So we only hear in the news all of the negative stuff, but there's organizations that are around, tons of organizations. For example, like Chicago Area Project and Fathers Who Care. On the South Side, there's Gary Comer Youth Center and St. Sabina. There's a bunch of youth organizations that are around that actually have a lot of positive news, but we don't hear about that. And so again, the solution is continuing to support, but we are going to have to do it, unfortunately, one or two youth at a time, and we can't just do this cookie cutter approach everywhere. So,
right, because it's all about coming together in a collaborative effort to try to fix the ills that has been going on in the community amongst the young people and amongst the elder generation. That's why when you hear the term bridging the intergenerational gap, because there is an intergenerational gap between the young and the old. I don't call them old. I call them mature. That's what we call them. We call them the more mature generation.
That's right.
And we have some more calls. Going to entertain the next few calls and come right back to the conversation.
Right.
Hello, caller. Thank you so much for calling. Your comment or question, please.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, what do you guys think that the young youth need more improvement or development on, and what do you think they do most that they shouldn't because of peer pressure?
Good question. Which one do you want to tackle?
I think I'll take the first one, where the caller asks, "What can we do?"
Thank you.
What can we do to help young people? And what do young people do? What can we do to help young people not do? Well, the first thing young people need to understand is discipline. There's no discipline in today's society, because when I was young, everybody knew everybody on the block. I mean, I'm sure you can relate to that too. Everybody knew everybody on the block. If you messed up and your mom wasn't home, the neighbor down the street dealt with you. And when you got home, your mom dealt with you. And Pops got home, he dealt with you. So it's a lack of discipline. And also, adults need to stop being afraid. A lot of adults are afraid to say something to the young people because some parents feel like, oh, you can't say nothing to my child. This isn't your child. Don't try to chastise my child. Well, maybe if you chastise your own child, maybe I wouldn't have to, because obviously there's something wrong, maybe in the household, maybe in the outside world, maybe in the child's mind itself, that is triggering this child or children to act out or be in this type of environment that they know they shouldn't be in. Either they want to fit in, either they're trying to look cool, whatever the case may be. So it's all the sense to me of, say something. Don't be afraid, because they're afraid of the young people today. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. I know everything. No, you do not know everything. Don't ever sit up here and say you know everything, because no one in the world knows everything. You're never too old to learn. People learn different things every day, new things every day. So if you got that mindset where can't nobody tell you nothing, can't nobody do this, can't nobody do that, you're not gonna make it in this society. Society's gonna
Eat you up.
Eat you alive.
Spit you out,
Yeah,
right?
spit you out.
And as far as the second part, in terms of what can help to sort of deviate from the peer pressure. So what happens to that allows people? There's leaders and there's followers, and leaders are going to be ones that feel empowered, that feel that have this self-worth and self-confidence, not arrogance, but I'm talking about self-confidence and self-worth. Now you get that from your parents or from people speaking life into you. When I mean speak life, that means encouraging you. Oh, you are smart. Not just you're beautiful, but you're pretty and you're smart, so you're pretty smart. So it's just being able to encourage you along the way, and that starts from childhood. I mean, it starts from childhood, just encouraging the young ones, like, oh, you did good. And instead of, like, even when they mess up, instead of just harping on the bad things, like, oh, you screwed that up, or you broke this, or you did that, let's start focusing and speaking life. Here, a quick example is that if you put a plant on a table, and wherever the light is coming from, that plant will grow and go towards that light, right? But if there is no light, that plant would just wilter and die. And so we have to speak life into our young people. We got to encourage them every day and show love, and so then that way you'll have more people that are understanding when they're being tricked or coerced into, hey, come go do this, come make this run with me, right? And then you going to rob somebody, and then everybody going in jail. Now your intuitions will be like, yeah, there's something wrong with this here, right?
Right.
It's just based on you being in love, and then people educating you and letting you know really some of the rules of the game. A lot of people don't know that, the streets and what to look out for. So good questions though. We
Next
appreciate
caller.
that.
Hello, caller. Thank you so much for calling. Mr. Tony Lawlor. Your comment or question, please.
Yes, and good evening. And first, let me give you your props. I have seen you as a young man, a young child, and turned into a heck of a good adult. You've been doing a good job. All right, now let me just say this, and I've heard you say this for many years, and not just you. Other people will say things of that nature. You discipline a child. A child is disciplined, and then a child grows. But the thing is, once you discipline it, you need to learn the main word called respect. See, young people and older people too, they have just found a word that they disrespect people. They disrespect themselves. How can they respect someone else? That's number one. As when I came up, you was disciplined. We went to the neighborhood, and you even gave the older guys respect. And the older people respected you. Matter of fact, they helped you. They talked to you. They try to give you some kind of guidance. I mean, we all knew who was the bad guys and who was this and that. Any neighborhood has that. But again, it got to a point that people just don't care. Do you see a young guy, they say, well, it don't make no difference. He's going to do what he want to do.
Right.
I'll give you a prime example. How can you lay in somebody else's basement, get up, don't have no money in your pocket, pull your clothes on, pants hanging and sagging, walk out with a gun and shoot and kill somebody, don't even know that person, and don't even rob them, don't even do anything, just to kill him or her for no apparent reason, riding on the expressway just to shoot and kill and do things. Again, you talk about peer pressure also. There's peer pressure at the beginning of time. And when we leave this earth, it's going to still always be peer pressure. That's just part of life. But again, what we need to do is some way, somehow, to get the simple formula of respect. That's the main key. If they learn how to respect themselves, then we got a good chance to making a big change into what's going on right now. If not, only thing I could see is going to get worse. Listen, thanks for taking the call, guys. Let me get out there so I can hear a response. And again, thanks for taking the call.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, he did touch on something very, very key to life itself, being respectful. Yeah, that is something, because the young people today are very, very disrespectful.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not have respect for someone over you? I mean, someone who's paved the way for you, someone who has, taught you things, taught you this, taught you that, the highways and byways of life itself. But somewhere along the line, it just failed, and it needs to come back up. I mean, I don't see how you can stand in someone's face that's, first of all, older than you, been where you trying to go, and you just blatantly disrespect them, and you feel okay about that. You go home and you go to sleep, and you just cussed out the whole block. Like, how could you live with yourself, and then have the nerve to say you want somebody to respect you? How do you want somebody to respect you? First of all, respect is not given. Respect is earned. To get respect, you have to give respect. And everybody's been taught that throughout life. Everybody's gonna get taught that when they come into life and when you leave life. First of all, you came in this world alone, and you're gonna leave alone. So the path of life that you choose to walk down, make sure respect is a part of that path that you're gonna cross, and disrespect shouldn't come across that path.
Yeah, and just another note on that as well is that, and people, again, the disrespect comes from a lack of self-love and a self-care and self-worth. Again, and so what we have to do is understand too that in some of the communities that you and I live in and work in every day, what's happening is that people are under the influence of trauma. We also have to keep that in mind, and that we don't have the proper resources to address those. Like, our lovely state of Illinois has eliminated all but a few mental health hospitals and places. We don't have a lot of access, especially in the communities where we don't have a lot of money to afford the access to those things. So also, I'm no way saying it. There's a number of things, and we won't be able to resolve them once and not on this show. But it's going to take time. But we do have to advocate, and we got to fight for our community. We can't just lay down. We have to continue to fight for resources in our community. Continue to press our legislators to assist in those areas. But then coming together, like you said, like the families, not always being afraid, but coming together. Now, every family is not going to be highly educated or have a lot of stuff, but then that's where the community comes in. The church has to play a role, and instead of being inside of the four walls, coming outside, providing some of the healing that folks need.
The community itself as a whole.
And we just got to come together. So I see we have one more caller. So
next caller.
Hey, yes, and listen, thanks for taking that call again. One other thing I just want to say, it was a time in life, if someone got shot or about to die, first thing they say, oh, mama, oh, God. Now you see people now, like they don't mind dying. They don't mind getting shot and killed. They don't mind. They want to go to jail. I just don't understand it. That's why society as we know it is upside down. Only he could come down here and make clearness of this world, I think. I think you got to a point, it just seems like it's out of our control. Only he going to be the one to change this. Thanks again for taking that call.
no problem. So again, real quick, and I know we're almost out of time, I just wanted to point out that, again, there are people in the world that are doing some great things. I mean, you just mentioned it. Look at this brother who's grown up and is out here, taking care of things. So let's just not focus on all of the negativity. There are some positive things that's going on in our communities, in our world. We are just not hearing about that. And so hopefully we'll continue to bring people on the show to highlight some of those things.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, my name is David Elam. I'm the president emeritus of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. You're watching Fathers Who Care. My guest is evening Mr. Tony Lawlor. We're discussing the topic of youth empowerment and youth development. And we're always looking for young people to come out and join the West Garfield Park Youth Council. We meet every Monday from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., 4540 West Washington Boulevard. For more information on the West Garfield Park Youth Council and how you can get you and your youth involved, please give us a call at 773-287-5821. Again, that number is 773-287-5821. Or you can visit our website at www.fatherswhocare.org and click on the tab West Garfield Park Youth Council. Also, young people looking for, if you're interested in employment training or job opportunities, 16 to 21, in school youth, please give Fathers Who Care a call if you're interested in upcoming job training and employment opportunities. Please give Fathers Who Care a call at 773-287-5821, or also visit the website at www.fatherswhocare.org. Well, Tony, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the show. It was great having you once again. I thank everybody who watched. Thanks everybody who called in and commented. We'll see you next week. Reverend Jones, have a safe trip. Be blessed. We'll hope to see you back this week. And anything you want to say?
Before you guys go, if anybody is looking for a nonprofit consultant to help with programming, program development, grant writing, give me a call. My number is 312-330-4498, or go to my website at Lawlor, Lawlor, LawlorConsultingGroup.com. That's LawLor, LawlorConsultingGroup.com. Thank you all again.
We love you. God bless you. Good night.
Good night.